not in the face of an intensifying strategic competition.
In a chaotic scene, protesters with bloody hands demanding a ceasefire in Gaza interrupted US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's testimony before the Senate Appropriations Committee at the Congress on Tuesday. The hearing was interrupted repeatedly by protesters denouncing American officials for backing what they called genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. As the hearing began, a line of anti-war protesters raised red-stained hands in the air. They chanted slogans like "Ceasefire now," "Protect the children of Gaza," and "Stop funding genocide." A protester even shouted, "Blinken, you have blood on your hands, murderer." The protesters also held signboards calling for a ceasefire and the end of US funding in Israel. According to US Capitol Police, around 12 people were arrested for illegally protesting inside the Senate office building. Blinken did not respond to the protesters, but when he was asked later about the possibility of a ceasefire, he said that would simply consolidate what Hamas has been able to do and potentially repeat what it did another day. A pause, however, for humanitarian reasons can be considered, he said. "We do believe that we have to consider things like humanitarian pauses to make sure that assistance can get to those who need it and people can be protected and get out of harm's way," Blinken said. Blinken added that Gaza in the future could not be governed by Hamas, but could also not be run by Israel, adding that ideally an effective and revitalized Palestinian Authority could ultimately run the Strip, while other countries in the region could step in to help under temporary arrangements. According to reports, the protesters belonged to an organization called Code Pink. Several members, including a US Army veteran, former diplomat and peace activist, were arrested for the protest. Code Pink said the red-painted hands of the members were meant to symbolize blood. The protest comes amid the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza against the Hamas terrorists, following the deadly attack by the militants on southern Israel on October 7, which killed about 300 soldiers and around 1,100 Israeli civilians. Gaza has been under a blockade that has prevented food, water and other necessary supplies from entering the territory, except for some humanitarian convoys allowed in recent days. On the war front, the Israel Defense Forces hit a densely populated refugee camp in Gaza, which killed at least 50 Palestinians and a Hamas commander, and medics struggled to treat the casualties in the enclave, where food, fuel and basic supplies are running scarce.